Last week, $1 billion in Bitcoin was seized by the DOJ, and yesterday we learnt a little more about the mystery behind what is the largest seizure in DOJ history. The Bitcoin in question was apparently tied to the Silk Road, a now shut down free marketplace on the dark web that was most popular for purchasing small quantities of marijuana, and which many say contributed to the widespread adoption of Bitcoin. In 2012, about 70,000 Bitcoins, or $350,000 worth at the time, was apparently stolen from the site. In 2013, they moved to another address, and in 2015, about 100 of the 70,000 Bitcoins were sold off. The address has sat dormant ever since, and a couple of years ago, a DAT file allegedly containing the private keys to the coins began circulating on the dark web to see if anyone could crack the file and gain access. Then, last week, on November 3rd, the Bitcoin, now worth over $1 billion, was moved out of the address. There was speculation that perhaps someone had finally cracked the file and gained access to the funds. 2 days later, though, the DOJ announced that the movement was because the funds had been stolen, seized by them. This raised more questions. How does one seize Bitcoin? With a normal bank account, funds can be lifted out without the owner's permission. With Bitcoin, they cannot. Only the person who has the private keys can access the funds, so they can only be seized with their cooperation. The DOJ revealed that the unnamed hacker, referred to as Individual X, has indeed consented to the government seizure. $1 billion is an astronomical amount of money. One has to wonder what the hacker was offered or threatened in order to hand over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Could it have been that a $5 wrench might have done the trick? But then, another big question, why didn't the hacker use some of the funds to better protect their identity? Until it was moved, this Bitcoin address had the 4th highest balance of Bitcoin in existence. $1 billion could buy a lot of security. Part of me was hopeful that perhaps the funds were used to strike a deal with the DOJ regarding clemency for Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the Silk Road website who is serving a draconian sentence. The notorious Ulbricht trial is shrouded in controversy. From 2 corrupt law enforcement agents to manipulated chat logs to evidence hidden from the jury, culminating in an unprecedented sentencing. Noam Chomsky called the trial a shocking miscarriage of justice. A former New York City police commissioner says that it was one of the worst travesties of justice he had ever seen. I was at the sentencing, and shock and tears filled the room as Judge Forrest put Ross away for a double life sentence plus 40 years for all non-violent offences. Sadly, it looks like this $1 billion isn't being used to help Ross. Yesterday, the lawyer representing the hacker who turned over the money said he thinks of his client as a modern-day Robin Hood. These Bitcoins were taken from a website that made money on the addictions of people worldwide, he said. He makes us sound like this noble cause, but the money was given to the DOJ, which makes money prosecuting the addictions of people and sending non-violent people to jail for using drugs. The $1 billion will be added to their budget if it turns out that it's subject to forfeiture. So even though increasingly the country rejected the war on drugs in this last election, the DOJ now has $1 billion more towards the war on drugs, otherwise known as the war on people using drugs. It's possibly the least noble cause that I can think of. To sign the petition to pardon Ross, the link is in the description. And to learn more about all of the corruption of Ross's trial, there's also a link in the description. Your support is greatly appreciated.